Hello and welcome to The Real Agent, where we pull back the curtain on all things real estate. We're your hosts, Christina, Murray, and Mary Jo will be here soon. She'll appear here. And today we have the lovely April Cook, who's the owner of Detail Staging. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay,
Thank you
on
for
the
having
show.
me.
Yay.
Finally. I know. I've been like, when are you going to invite me?
We're so excited to have you on to kind of dive deep into the part of marketing listings in real estate and how important it is, and how like you have such an important role with to realtors now. Like I can't put a listing online, and I know you can't. That is not edited. And yeah, so how did you decide that home staging, home design was where you wanted to be in?
It just kind
In your
of
career.
evolved, right?
Mhm.
So I'm an interior designer by trade,
Mhm.
and I designed for most of my 20s. And then Murray and I started Cafe together in, when our girls were babies, and so we ran that together for about 5-6 years. And then just as it was ending, like Murray kind of pulled back and started getting into real estate, and it kind of started booming for her. So I was still running the cafe, and then when it kind of ran its course and we shut it down.
Wait.
Way
Okay.
back.
Hold on. You missed a whole big chunk of this.
I always do.
history.
She's like, wait a second.
First of all, I didn't just start real estate at that time. I was doing real estate like
Of
10 years
course.
before that. But that's the important part, because when I first started real estate is when we met. And I was like 19 years old, and she was living in Hamilton. And our friend Lisa Green, who I used to be dancing with back then.
And I went to high school with her.
Yeah, so she introduced us because she was looking for a house. And it's funny, it's like full circle, because the first house she bought was on Rhodes Avenue, which now we live in the Beaches. And some of my clients live on Rhodes Avenue and friends. And
Yeah.
it's just so funny how we've done like a full circle.
It's so nice to drive past and look at it.
Yeah, I remember we started just kind of hanging out, and I think the first meeting was at a gym.
Oh my gosh, it was so
And Vaughan.
funny. Because it's like literally my first interaction with a realtor, and I meet her at a gym. And they're like, oh, yeah, she's in the change room. And off I go into the change room. She's like, hey, how's it going? And she's changing. And I'm just sitting there like, okay. This is how it's supposed to be. I'll just
getting
wait.
deep.
Go ahead.
That was
Oh
so
my
funny.
God, it was the best. So
Yeah, she looked like she was in shock. We broke the
Were you
ice
testing
really
her?
fast.
You were like, if she can pass this test,
I
then we
don't
can
know.
be.
To be honest,
think
when I
so.
think about like my early 20s, I have no idea what the hell I was thinking half the time, what I was doing. I don't even know how I
Please,
survived.
I barely remembered that.
I don't even know. I just remember, she was kind of a friend of a friend, so I wasn't taking it like, okay, this is like a business meeting, right? So, but it was interesting because we ended up finding her house, and she moves in. I was engaged to somebody and living with him at the time, and anyways, I ended up breaking up with him, and I call her and I'm like, oh, can you just come over? And I basically packed all my bags and just stuffed it into her little sports car and then moved in with her. And Lisa at the time was just moving out, but not for like another month or month and a half.
Yeah.
So I was just cuddling with her in her bed.
So she's like, I'm just gonna move in, and like I just went over for a visit, and all of a sudden, like literally, you have like her whole life strapped on top of my tiny little sports car. We come back, and she's like, yeah, I just gonna move in. I'm like, okay,
and
it's
that's
like
how
full
it
service.
all began. I just want to make sure you're comfortable in your
Yeah.
new home, and
So I'm just
I'm
gonna
going
like snuggle
to
in bed and make sure
cuddle with you and spoon you.
I feel really connected to you right now. That's
Yeah, we're like so close.
Oh my God,
Oh my
it was
God.
so funny. But then, yes, fast forward.
Your house must have been awesome, like design
was-
wise.
Well, I don't know about that.
energy.
If you like, no, I don't know about that because like way back
It's
then it's
been a
like orange walls,
process.
green walls.
Yeah, it's been a
Yeah.
transition.
Yeah.
At that time, we were actually studying color psychology, remember?
Oh, yeah,
So
so we
we
went
were like,
nuts.
yeah, but we took it very literally,
Very
and we
seriously.
just chose the wrong shades of the colors. That
It was intense. It was like
So
yeah.
when you two met, did you know? I know this is gonna go off, but it just the I don't know if I'll call it chemistry, but the chemistry was it always like this between you two?
No, actually, I'm glad you asked that
Oh my
because
God.
when I first started talking to her on the phone, I was like, oh my God, this girl is so dry. Like, I literally wanted to fall asleep on the phone. I dreaded talking to her.
I'm not
April,
a phone
do you
person.
want a soccer one?
No, I am
No,
like, I'm not a
she's-
phone person. I'm
she
like,
is
what do you
not
want?
a phone person.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I met her in person, I was like, oh, okay.
I mean,
It's
you.
like-
You have personality.
she's a
I'm
Gemini,
not a phone
so
person.
it's
Like,
like,
it's
and now we have the driest, darkest sense of humor, and it's like we just find each other hilarious. Like, we literally feel like we should have a sitcom.
We've been saying that for
Yeah.
like 20 years. Like, why don't people just follow us around with videos, cameras, and just like, we could make so much
She
money.
is the driest phone person ever, like ever.
Just like-
That would
it's
be one of the.
painful.
10 words
That
or
would be one
less.
of your like confessionals where you'd have a phone conversation and then you would go and be like, "Oh, that phone
Exactly.
conversation
Oh, yeah.
was the worst."
It's like,
how
just
could you do
poke
this?
my
to me?
eye out. And she's my client, so I have to be nice, right? I was before.
Well, you made up for it with
Yeah.
stripping in the change room.
Yeah. I shocked her. She just ripped the bandage off.
Yeah, right? I'm like, okay, I guess.
But anyway, so back to your story. Yeah, so we opened the cafe after we had our girls. And yeah,
And then, so then when we shut it down, I was kind of in that transition period. And you were staging all your listings.
I was staging
with
myself.
Diana.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
Diana
with-
was helping
She was
you.
helping me, yeah.
And so she was like, do you want to help? Like, I just didn't know what I was going to do at that point. And so I started helping her stage. And it was just interesting because it's like, designing and staging. It's like, obviously staging is interior design, but like they're just two different beasts, right? So in the beginning, it's like she taught me a
Yeah.
lot. Like there was just a lot of transition between going in and designing a place or staging it, right? Because
You're
Maria
thinking
had
of the photography too. Like,
The
what is
photography.
what is the camera going to pick up?
the flow,
Yeah.
like
Yes.
what does the client want to see? Like the biggest
What
thing is
do
the
clients,
flow.
yeah, that's the biggest thing. It's the flow. How do you want the client to move through the space? What do you want to stand out in the listing? And the psychology of the buyer. You want them to feel
Who is your
like
buyer?
what's the feeling you want to create, and who is your buyer?
Exactly.
Yeah.
One thing I like to do when we're talking is like, where are people going to stand and have
Yes,
conversations?
exactly.
Yeah.
Let's give them the space to do that. Because if you fill every single part, or if you fill it every single wall, people are just going to feel very overwhelmed and cluttered. So I always
Yes.
like to think about like, where are they going to stand and talk about this house? What are they going to look at? So I really. I know that when we meet, we talk about that too. Like, what do we want to focus on when people are in here? And
But that's what makes her so good at what she does, because she worked hands on with a realtor. Like, she was like there. I was explaining to her why we have to do it like this and why, and what's like, we're trying to create a feeling. It's not just like a visual thing. Sometimes we go into listings that, you gauge it by the property and like what is, you know what I mean? Like, what type of property is it? You're not going to stage every property to make it look pristine and perfect. Some properties, you want them to look a little bit more lived in and comfortable and
Edgy
inviting
or-
or edgy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you said, who's the clientele that's going to be moving into this house? Who's the audience, right? You're not going to stage a listing in Vaughan the same way you're going to stage a listing in Leslieville
Exactly.
or
Absolutely.
in Forest Hill, right? It's a very different clientele, very different feel. So that's I think that was where she had that edge, because she had the design background, but then she also got that kind of piece of it.
And it was like intensive training. Like,
yeah,
if
because I'm a
anybody's met-
crazy
right.
person. I'm literally a crazy person.
Yeah, and in the beginning, like it was just like wrapping my head around, what you wanted, like what you wanted, and the vision was
and how quickly you want it.
and quickly too, right? And like you get a lot of like challenging listings. Like there's some realtors that just take vacant stagings or whatever, only condos. But like lots of times, like your staging, like your listings are really challenging, right? Like it could
They're
be somebody
different.
moving out, or the house is full of stuff and you have to declutter it. You have to work with like personalities and emotions and all that. So I mean, like every single one is totally different.
I find that you when you start working with those projects, that's just people know that you can handle it. So
Yeah.
that's where your referral starts.
Exactly.
Totally.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
like the decluttering, the bringing stuff to the dump, all that stuff. Not some realtors, they don't even imagine
Yeah.
that may have to happen
Yeah,
because they don't deal with those projects.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's what's great about April is she deals with everything. Like, she project manages, she deals with the contractors, she deals with the garbage people, she deals with like everything basically. And in the beginning, I was very, very hands on. Like, I was like a control freak. And also, but it was good
'cause
because
it's
you got to
you're-
see
Totally.
exactly
Yeah.
what we wanted, right? And now I could be in Costa Rica and we do video. Like we're so versed in working together that I can be just like, and I can look at it. And it's really cool because when you're looking at it through video, you're seeing it through the lens of the camera rather
totally
than
different.
just seeing it like in person. So, I would be like, oh, that's off, or this color stands out too much in the shot, or, and it's become like a really cool way to actually do it that I don't even have to really be there at all to stage it.
Do you like? Are you like? How do you work with realtors that would want to like be more involved? Like, is that something you find yourself doing too with your realtor clients?
Yeah, like I find that they're all different. So
Yeah.
I just kind of figure out their personalities and work with it. Like a lot of times with the newer realtors, I'll just say to them, like, as long as you trust me, I've got this. You don't need to be involved. Like, come meet, do the consult. But besides that, like, you can just kind of step back. And I find that
Because that
most
also
of
gets
them,
in the way sometimes, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
you get their
Too many
vibe,
opinions and-
and it's so much easier for you to work when it's like a clear space that the owners are, also you're considering the seller's feelings, like you don't want to hurt their feelings. So you don't really get to be creative, and it ends up taking more time, ends up costing more money. Mistakes can be made. Like it's just easier for them to just give you the key. And
Totally.
And that's what I always ask my clients, like, just please trust us, trust our stager. She's amazing. Just give her the key, and that's going to be the best job you're going to get. Right? But when you're micromanaging, sometimes you just get in the
It's-
way, and then
yeah.
she gets
I can't.
anxious.
Yeah,
Oh,
like,
and then I just can't make a decision. I'll be there till like 8 or 10 p.m. going, like
Yeah.
just spinning around because they stayed, right?
Yeah.
So now I just kind of like, I try to just manage expectations from the beginning and just be like, just be like, listen, I need a good solid X amount of time. If you need to come back, that's fine. But, I need you to leave at this point in time and then just let me do my magic. Like if you are hiring me, you know what I can do. So you just got to trust it.
How do you deal with clients that don't want to leave?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
That
She's
is
so
l-
good with people. Like she can handle people really, really well because she has a really good balance of being direct, but also being very kind and like empathic. Like sometimes I don't know how to end things, so she will be the one to come into a situation and be like, okay, Marie, we have to like do this now because I'm so like engaged
Yeah.
that she'll just be like come in with the hook and pull me
Yeah,
out.
totally.
She's really good with
I
that
hook you
stuff.
out of-
So somehow she manages it, and everybody always loves her. Like the clients always love her. So
And again, and it's a blend. I mean, most of the times I can get them out, but the odd time when I can't, then I just have to be like, okay, so you're just going to sit right here, and then just kind of ship them around and just deal with it. But most of the time, I can get them out.
Yeah, like before we worked together, I would be doing all the staging, and
Yeah.
my clients, they've had weeks to declutter, and then they're decluttering on staging day, and it just boils your blood because it's like the photographer.
Well, like the first one we did together, right?
oh my god, that was the
Yeah,
worst.
there's so many. No, there's so many. And the thing
Yeah.
is, it's like you have to be, like sympathetic to their situation. Sometimes they're just overwhelmed, right? Which is why you have to keep up with them. Like I always like at least seeing, the day or two before the actual state of the place because, they might say that they've done it, but like,
I find sometimes people try to.
blatantly lie to you and say it's done when it's not.
But you know what?
Tell me how you feel.
They probably feel bad.
Yeah.
And they probably need more support, and they're
Totally.
scared to ask for it, right? So I will go in. So with her and I, the way we work is like, she'll just present it, she'll do the consult, and then I will back it up and say, guys, don't feel like you have to do this all yourself. April has a team that can help you declutter. Just put away the things that you don't want her team to touch or things that are really valuable. Put it away yourself so that nobody else is responsible. But just let us help you as much as you can. Because if you're trying to save money, in the end, it ends up costing you more.
it backfires.
It
yeah.
does backfire, right? And so,
And then you end up taking stuff you don't need. That's the
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
thing. It's like decluttering, but you don't declutter because you're so overwhelmed that you just take it all.
exactly. And it's too much.
It's
too
too
much.
much.
Hide your
decluttering.
personal stuff, your expensive stuff, and the stuff you don't want me to see.
Like your vibrators.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't going to say it, but it's like I found way too many of them. It's like, come on. I'm opening these drawers.
Oh my god, they just like you so much.
They're so
Go for
comfortable.
it. Like,
Hide your
Thanks.
vibrators.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, it's also the realtor's job. Like, it can't all be, you know, because we have the relationship with the clients, right? And I find with realtors, we tiptoe around things too much. I don't do that. Like, I will not tiptoe around people. I'm very kind and I'm very understanding, but I will be also very direct with my clients. I'll say, look, what's the outcome that you want? You want this to be done by this time. So please let me do my job and let me bring in my team members because I know you're hiring me because you trust me. So just have full trust. And if anything is going in a way that you don't like or any direction you don't like, feel free to step in at that point. But like, it's about managing them and their expectation because that's our job. You know, they don't know what they don't know, right? They don't understand things. But as realtors, I find because we're so scared to like rock the boat that we end up tiptoeing around it.
Yeah.
But imagine if you go into a doctor's office and the doctor's like, well, what do you think? You know, or like just doesn't seem confident and
Yeah.
isn't taking charge. You're not going to trust that doctor, right? Like for us as realtors, we are the professionals. We should know what we're doing. And if we know what we're doing and the client doesn't trust us, that's not going to be a good dynamic, right? So I wouldn't take a listing or work with a client that doesn't fully trust me. Of course, I'm going to work with them and what makes them comfortable. And, you know, let's say it's an emotional situation. I will work around it, but I will not set myself or my team up to fail. So if it, you know, if their expectation is it needs to be done by this point, but there's all these other obstacles in the way, I will just adjust the timeline, right? Or I'll just adjust it in a way that it's going to work. And now I've learned, because I'm also very optimistic, so I've learned to consult with April before
Estimeration is what we call it.
They call it an estimation. Yeah, no problem. We'll be
We
done
can
in-
do this in 3, and then she just kind of goes.
But now I actually just look at April because I can read her body language. I just look at her. I'm like, why don't we ask April actually?
Like, why don't I just get back to you? like, oh my God, you used to be like, okay, we'll be in here tomorrow, and I'll be like, what?
April's sweating. I'm sweating. I look at her. I'm like,
Oh my God.
I may. I'm over.
So stressed out.
But she gets it
that's
done.
yeah.
I pressure her sometimes, but
Oh,
I'm telling
yeah.
you, she gets it done. But it's not like we're trying to work in a way now where it's like not stressful.
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
it's much better.
because if you're stressed out, then the client's going to be stressed out.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to be stressed out, and it's just like it's not the best environment to be working in. So I'm
Yes.
learning.
Yes, you are. Baby steps.
Baby
She
steps.
appreciates that. I
I,
think
do, I
can
really
tell.
do.
No, I'm like it's like when I say the what are they, the quotes?
Oh God.
I always screw up like those
It's the
sayings.
best.
And I'll say it. I'll be so confident. Then I'll look at April, and
be
she's like, she's
I'm not gonna call her out, and but I'll be like, no,
and
that's
she's
not
like,
right.
I say it, and then I look, and she's like,
I love it so much.
notices, though, but you can see people are a little confused. Like, she's so confident, but
Well, that's
is
the
that
thing. You
right?
say it so confidently. It's just
Yeah.
like nobody. Like it's like calling people by the wrong name,
my
right? She
God.
calls people by the wrong name all the time,
So
and they're just like, okay, and I'm like, that's not your name. Why are you? Oh my God, it's the best thing ever.
Well, hello, darling.
right.
Come on in.
Come on in.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Thanks for not waiting. Sorry I'm late.
That's okay.
I did catch the tail end of your conversation. And April, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about your systems. Because I'm aware, I'm a systems person. I love systems. And I know how complicated it is for you with systems. And I wanted you to maybe talk about it
Yeah.
a little bit with everybody.
Well, they've definitely helped. Like I've started implementing them bit by bit. So Trello, which you use, I've been using it for probably a year or so, and I love it. So like I kind of
See?
I know
I
she's like
started
doesn't
using
matter.
it.
Not did you?
I started for like 1 week,
I was like, come on.
and then I stopped.
I've never
so
seen
was
you.
it it's not the current week.
a week, like randomly.
I did.
We're trying. We're
I'd
still
be
trying
like,
to get
text
her on it.
messaging works the same. I don't understand.
No.
You
Sorry.
got 3
It's-
people saying no, and you're still
Yeah.
not listening.
Yeah.
Then you gotta go like this and like find it.
Oh
Yeah.
my
And
God. And
amongst-
with the amount of personal text too on
Yeah.
top of it, like there's
Well, it's
yeah.
just it's a tracking system to make sure that okay, what have I completed, what have I not completed, what's still outstanding, and then
Yeah.
Don't you get off on like checks? Like check.
No, she does not know.
I know I'm crazy like that too.
Yeah.
Like today,
I
like
love
a
check marks.
Check.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm
I
so
actually write
resistant.
things down
Totally
so I can check them off. Like I will literally, I'll look my day and I'll write it down, even though it's done already. I'll write it down anyway.
Oh my God.
Right?
I do that in my
Because then I
calendar.
get the
Sick.
satisfaction.
I know.
That
I'm like,
okay,
look
did
at what I've
accomplish
done.
something today.
That's really
Nobody
cute.
cares.
That's really cute,
No,
actually.
we have a problem.
There's some sort of weird dopamine.
Yeah,
thing.
it's a hit.
Yeah.
You got a
Yeah,
hit.
it's a hit.
I do that with my calendar. Like if I didn't put an appointment in my calendar, and then like
still
the end
put
of,
it
I
in.
put it in after, like just so if I'm ever searching, if I've seen
Yeah. Oh,
somebody,
yeah,
then I know
totally.
that I've seen them on that day.
Well,
I
it's
do the
another
same
way
thing.
that I can track, like, because
Yeah.
I mean, I have contractors and design assistants. So, like, I found before I used to have stuff all over the place now, right? So now Trello has all of my listings,
Yeah.
and then I use the Sortly app, and so that has all of my inventory. So I take like pictures of everything, and it's in there. And now that I've taken over Christina's, like I have like a separate folder for her, and I'll have like your initials in front of each one. So it's like bit by bit by bit that I'm getting.
Doesn't it
more
make you
and more.
breathe easier though? It's
I
like, okay,
think
I know where to
you
find
guys
things.
enable me, to be honest, because you're all so good at it that I don't really need to.
No,
No, you do.
No,
Imagine
no.
how much better we would be if you did it.
Do we want to talk about this?
Yeah.
I'm joking. Okay, fine.
Yeah, I
Well,
think we're
like,
all
no.
like silently shaking our heads, like no.
One of these
Kinda
things is decibel.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
She's gonna be falling asleep like, oh, I have another one.
I know, eh?
I'm like, dude, did you check your
my God.
calendar?
Oh my God, it's the best. And I just showed her that when we have Google invites, if you don't accept them, they just say white. And she's
Yeah.
like, "Is that why all of my invites are white?" I'm like, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
You have to
She
accept
didn't know that you have
them.
to accept them. Like, yes.
In
no.
order for it to be
I
put
know
into
you
your
have
calendar.
to accept them, but they're already there. Like, why do I have to press yes?
But then
because
nobody
you're-
knows you're going to come.
Yeah, like it's,
they know.
Do they?
They know.
it's in her head. They know.
Yeah.
She's
Exactly.
mind. It's telepathy.
Yeah,
She's
it's the
like,
telepathy
let
They'll
me
be
that-
so
know.
surprised when I show up.
Exactly.
And nobody else does.
Keeping everybody on the edge of their
Everybody's
seats.
like, I thought it was canceled because she didn't say
Yeah,
yes.
yes.
And she's
Hey,
like, but
I
I
managed-
texted you I was coming.
I managed to get here. I'm doing pretty well.
I know. I drove you, but yeah,
Yeah.
we got here together. Okay.
Oh, snap.
Oh, snap.
Drop the mic. She's on a roll
Like, get in the
today.
car.
All right.
Okay,
I think
yeah.
we can all see the parallels though
Systems.
between agents and what you do though.
Yeah.
Like just how important systems are and how it keeps you on track.
Yeah.
And how you can actually look back on what you've been doing.
And it unloads stuff out of your brain, like you said before, right? So if everything's kind of like in the apps and the systems and stuff, it's not like a billion things that are in my brain, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the worst thing because then it takes away from the creativity, makes me forget stuff, which, always happens.
And it's also with growing. Like if you want to
just gonna
scale
say.
with your
Yeah.
assistants and
Yes.
stuff, like you could be less involved if you're organized that way. Where
And
you're like, okay,
again,
this list is here for you to reference.
and with
and see.
processes and stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what I'm starting to get into now is like writing the process of like, what do you need when you stage? What do you need when you destage, right? Because like every single time I'm coming in and I'm like telling everybody what to do, and really like that's my fault. It's like disabling them, right? Because they're just waiting for me to tell them what to do next because it's just sitting in my head. So now it's like I'm getting them out, putting them on clipboards, handing them over, like there you go, you've got all the information, and then that way I can just kind of go to the consults and like do more of the stuff to, like you said, grow my business instead of just being in the trenches all the time.
But you've grown significantly in like since I've known you. You can manage how many stages at one time?
Like in a week, 4 or 5,
Yeah.
which I never
Yeah,
thought
you
I
guys
would be
have
able
been
to
doing
do.
really a lot and really well. You're much more efficient, and and it saves the client money. It saves the us realtors money when you are being efficient. So we appreciate that.
And you're handy as fuck.
Oh yeah, this girl can just like
Oh my
she's
God,
in there
she-
like caulking and scraping, and she's like
She fixed the
fixing
table for
grout. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I
Well, she breaks it first, then she fixes. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
Well, yeah, that happens too. Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm so
That's
good
why
at
she's
fixing
so good
stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, with the amount of maneuvering you have to do
you
with
have
people's
saved me
stuff,
so much money.
It's just faster.
It
Yeah.
happens,
And
yeah.
again, like that's just something that like we've always done together. We've
Yes.
we've always just like fixed stuff because it's like that mentality of well, I can do it faster and better.
We built
right?
that cafe basically.
Totally.
Yeah.
Her and I, pregnant, plumbing, cutting, like building the bar.
Shelves over like
Oh, yeah.
it doesn't
I mean,
matter.
I think we all don't realize how handy we could be because we just don't want to do it. But
Yeah.
if you're forced into a situation,
yeah.
you'll realize pretty quickly
I can
what
do
you're capable of.
electrical,
I can
plumbing,
paint.
drywall.
She's like, I don't wanna do any of
paint,
that.
I
Yeah.
don't want to do it, but I can paint.
We've gotten
Yeah.
so
You can
used
do
to
electrical?
conveniences.
Like,
Yeah,
what
but
do you
not
do?
well.
What are you doing?
It's
I can-
terrifying.
It's terrifying.
I wouldn't
can
say
fix
that
a
you can do
lamp.
electrical.
I can connect a light fixture. That's
Yeah.
what I mean.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
what I mean.
okay. That
Let me clarify.
yeah.
I'm not an electrician, but I can put up a light
I
fixture.
can't do that, and I
Yeah.
should
I can
probably have
change
learned.
like
the
the
wall sconces.
yeah. No, the plugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
a receptacle.
I have
plug.
electrocuted
like,
myself a
you're-
couple times.
Yeah.
I will.
It is about
You don't turn off the
three
breaker.
wire.
She just like takes a chance.
Ow.
Oh my god.
But we get it done.
She kind of likes it.
That actually makes sense.
It hurts. Like
Oh
a
my gosh.
shocker. But
What
yeah.
would you say is one of the pits of your business and one of the peaks of your business are?
I mean, running my own business, I think that the peak is one of them is just like having autonomy, right? Like being able to kind of, if say everybody's going off to Costa Rica, I can plan around and I can actually go whenever I want. Like just having that freedom to take a day off if my kid wants to like just be at home or whatever. Like I value that. Like for me to be in a 9 to 5, I've tried it so many times. Like I've been in corporate design firms and like that's like slow death for me. I cannot do it. So the pit would just be that, there's times when it's just like I'm a one woman show. So it's just a lot of work. And if you got to stay up till 12, 1 and then get up at 6 the next day, then that's what you have to do. So there's times when like there's exhaustion and then there's times when it's a slow market, like say in December when all the realtors basically take vacation and it's like, okay, I'm taking vacation now. Right. But it's like another thing I'm working on is just looking ahead far enough that be like, okay, this is the peak time when, everybody's going to take a break. So this is my break, right? And just planning ahead and being proactive instead of like,
Yeah.
and so that like
But
that's the evolution.
also just observing what you go through. Staffing is a major issue.
Lots of
right?
turnover. Lots of
Because
turnover.
It's a lot of turnover,
Yeah.
and then you find good people, and then they leave, and it's just like a constant turnover.
Yeah.
So that's hard.
Yeah,
I know. I've seen
that's
you
tough.
struggle with that, and then
It's
it's like
tough.
all falls on you as the business owner, right?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of problems with that in every industry, but for you, for sure, because it's labor.
Yeah. And
And-
some people just don't want to work. Like,
Well, there's nothing you can do if they don't show up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? It's not
Yeah.
like there's any repercussions. It's just like you have to have constant standby, and that's difficult.
Well, I've got a really great like system now for my movers. So I have somebody who's like oversees the movers. So I'm not sitting there scrambling trying to find them. I pay a little bit more, but I just basically text him, this is, how many people, how many days and all that stuff. And he takes care of it. And so
so
like
good.
that, yeah, like it's worth it. So it's like, again, you're looking at things like, okay, sometimes you have to pay a little bit more, but it's peace of mind. And it's one thing that's like, now he's accountable, right? I'm not accountable to all these people. Like he's accountable. So
Yeah, it's great.
I think that's one thing that people need to understand because I know you actually stage for a lot of realtors that we know as well. And we've talked about this because when we talk about price points, I think people realize the value of what they're getting when they get you because you are really a jack of all trades. You come in, you know the job inside out. Like you can hire a stager, and I'm one of them. I used to work with somebody else who could literally just do one thing. Where you'll come in and you're like
You're
soup to nuts.
overseeing
You
everything.
oversee everything, and I can call you and say, listen, this doesn't look right or something's wrong here, and I know that you're going to take care of it and make sure that the job's done correctly. Where I don't think you get the same service with other stagers, and I'm just saying that from personal
I
experience.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like sometimes I bid on jobs, and they'll come back and they'll be like, "Well, that's really expensive," and I'll be like, "Okay, well, who's the other stager?" And I'll be like, "It has to be apples and oranges. Like it's not apples and oranges. Like
Yeah.
is that the
Yeah,
is
it's
that
not.
what yours?
Is it
I'm like,
comparable? Now you're
now I'm
asking
looking
me.
at you like
It has to be comparable,
It has to
right?
be
Like, are you getting the
comparable.
same service? It's like us being a discount broker. We're not a discount broker.
exactly
Right?
You're full service.
But
and-
I will have to. I have to say this. Like I have to stress this. Everybody should be staging. Like
Yeah.
you should be staging. You're doing your clients a disservice by not staging. I don't care what property is. There has to be some level of going in there and making
But
it
I mean, not staging
presentable.
yourself. Like we've seen pictures of
Yeah,
people going
please don't
in,
do that.
like
Please
the
don't.
comforters that they put on.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
Like
it's
people have
just
to understand like what
bad.
that looks like in pictures. You know, it's like doing your own pictures on your phone.
And
Like,
people, you get what you pay for. Like
Yeah.
literally, you know, if you want, like it makes a huge difference. Buyers are emotional.
Yeah.
So you want to create a space that they're going to walk into and feel connected to.
Yeah.
You don't want to create a space that's going to be like awkward or feel weird to them. They're not even understand why it feels weird. But like, I'll tell you guys a funny story. When I was working with these buyers for a long time and we weren't finding anything. And finally, they were very specific in what they needed. Finally, I found this one place and I went early because I saw the pictures. And I was like, guys, don't look at the pictures, just come. So I went in early. I staged it. I just went in. I mean, okay,
remember.
staged it. I fluffed it. I moved furniture around, guys. I
That's
moved
Of somebody else's
of
listing.
somebody
Yeah.
else's listing. I moved stuff around. I put it together. I made it look better, and my clients bought it.
yeah.
And I am so confident that if they walked into that space before I did that, they would not have bought it. And then, of course, I had to move
You had to
it
put it all
back
back.
after. But it was like, that's how
Because
much
it
I
was
That's
ruining
believe in
the
it.
dedication.
flow. It was
Yeah.
ruining the flow of the house.
And it
Yeah.
wasn't even bad. That's the thing. It was like somebody staged it themselves.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like bad or cluttered, but the flow was not there. The couch was in the wrong place. It made
It's
the
not
room look
functional.
smaller.
Yeah.
It wasn't functional. It was just like,
Exactly.
And you guys are both really good at that. Like I learned from you, but like I learned just from starting to work, with you. Same thing. Like sometimes I'd put a couch somewhere and you'd be like, "It feels off," and and so
and
like
that's
you
the
guys.
key word is it feels.
Feels
It's
off.
not
Yeah.
even about just like the look. It's about the feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we studied feng shui,
Yeah.
and
6-hour course on
yeah,
feng shui.
Yeah.
Oh, the
We
feng
studied
shui's always off
psychology of
some-
color, psychology of textures, spaces, even like everybody knows the baking cookies for the open house kind of thing. But it does make a difference. It could look perfect. And
Yeah,
if
but
you
if you
come in
walk
and
in,
it
it
smells
smells
bad.
like cat pee.
Yeah.
You're done. There's a
You're
problem.
done.
It's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Like it's done. Doesn't matter what you do.
yeah,
It could
because
be
the
most
furniture
beautiful
goes.
place.
Yeah.
the furniture doesn't stay. The cat pee does.
Well, the smell of smoke or whatever,
Yeah.
like the little details.
Yeah.
Even just telling your clients, like, "Hey guys, don't smoke, don't cook fish, don't cook curry.
Oh my god.
Like
Yeah.
let's stay away from the strong smells."
That is part of staging.
Huge.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is
it is
actually part of staging.
Yeah.
I always tell my clients, like, look, 1 week, you're not cooking.
You're eating out.
Yeah.
You're just eating out. I'm sorry. I know it's going to cost you this much money, but what it's going to bring back is
Yeah.
so much more.
I can't believe sometimes how much resistance you get towards that. I like
When you explain it well, I think that when you really explain it well to the people, you calculate it for them. You say, okay, look, you're going to spend this much money this week, but do you know how much money you're going to leave on the table when you have, let's say, 3 out of 10 buyers walk away because they don't feel it, they don't like it, they can smell it. Like that you've lessened your audience, you've lessened the potential of getting the best price. Maybe that one buyer that you turned off is the buyer that's willing to pay the price that you want.
Yeah.
You can't
Is it
take
worth
chances in
taking
this
that
market
chance?
either. When you have a market that's way less people too, like you can't play around with those 3 people that might come look at your property.
Exactly.
We throw everything at it. We
Yeah.
just don't leave any stone unturned. That way, our clients can't say, oh, it's because you didn't do this. Oh, it's because of that. We know that, and I'm fairly confident that our clients know that we've done everything. Everything we possibly can, like above and beyond, and annoyed them to the point where they know for a fact that we did that. We did all the things, and whatever they get is what it's worth, and
Yeah.
it's the best price they're going to get.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a
Yep.
strategy. And I think also you also have to put the seller's mind into the mind of a buyer. Like try and
Yes.
convince them, like, listen, if you were the person buying, how would
Yes.
you feel walking into this property, and would you pay the price that you're asking for in this condition?
Exactly.
You know, and then we've done many before and afters with April, and people
Mm-hmm.
are always stunned. Like a lot of times they don't even want to move
That's their. Oh my
after
god.
yeah,
after
that's
they've
the-
seen.
yeah.
And I think people need to understand too, it's the hook.
Yeah.
Like the pictures are the hook on the internet to get people into the property.
Totally.
That's
So
how
if-
people are looking for
Totally.
property.
Yeah, so if
It's
they
They're
don't
all
just flipping
online.
through the rest, and like
Yeah,
now
so
all of a
when
sudden
you
you've
take
lost
pictures on your
chance.
phone of a property that's been staged like shit,
Ridiculous.
what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I do you know how many clients I've talked to? Like, let's say they're interviewing a few agents, and they're like, "Oh, this agent said we didn't need to stage," and I will say, I disagree.
Yeah.
I will say it very clearly. Like I understand that some people might not like. It's already really nice, but you still have to stage. There has to still be some degree of staging.
And just like just the depersonalizing, right? I mean, you cannot have a person come into a house and feel like it's that person's house and not theirs.
Very specific.
Yeah, like take the pictures down, take everything down that makes it feel like your place. And
And the way that you guys stage is, it's like, it doesn't look like an IKEA catalog, right? Like it looks like somebody comfortably lives here, but it feels really nice and makes you feel like you want to live there.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
Yeah, exactly.
I find.
What is one of your favorite design trends that are happening right now with staging or just in general?
Like I find the design trend now is minimalism, which is interesting because it's like we've always been like, okay, we're just putting, like
We
you're
don't
always
Struck
accenting,
home sense
right?
through up here.
Yeah,
love
exactly, totally. Me too. My God. So
It's
now
better now.
Now
Through
the
the pandemic,
trend
it
of
really-
like of the minimalism is interesting because you're paring away. So it's like so if you go into a home and they've got beautiful furnishings, amazing, right? You're not adding too much to it. If they don't, that's where it gets a little bit tricky. But I do like just having things so like just very neutral, using the using different textures. But I do like it. And again, you have to go with there's some realtors who just love a lot extra stuff. So I mean, you have to work with the realtors too. Like I have certain realtors that are like they don't like these colors. It's like okay. Other realtors are they're like I like a lot more ornamentation. It's like okay, we'll do that. But generally, if you give me carte blanche, I like just keeping it very minimal.
I've ex-nayed the
Norwegian.
reds.
My whole inventory
people
is
do.
very
Yeah.
very subdued creams,
I love
textured.
your inventory.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's I always looked for that more. It's always been more my taste.
Yeah,
So I really love that everybody's
Yeah.
doing that now.
yeah.
Where
totally.
can you get away with bolder colors?
In
Um,
funkier spaces.
Yeah, like in Leslieville type homes,
Or lofts.
homes where they have the stained glass and things like that, and then homes where it's just is there innately anyways, and you just have to work with it. Then it's like okay, like when you have those bigger homes that have the large art, and you're not moving like $10,000 pieces of art, then you work with the colors.
And you can also use color to move someone's eye through the space,
Yeah.
right? So if you, and then using it throughout the house creates a really nice feeling too. Right?
We did
Yeah, for
remember we
sure.
did a consult for that penthouse, and these guys had
Yes.
lots of very, very colorful art, expensive art, and we're not happy about removing that art.
But we still got rid of the art. because
Yeah,
it was
yeah. There's
like,
times when it's like, sorry, it's got to go.
sometimes expensive art does not work.
Yeah.
Sometimes, depending on the
Yeah,
art.
but the way we live is not the way we sell, and that's what
Totally.
I
Yes,
always
I
say to
like that.
people. I
Totally.
always say the way we live is not the way we sell. So
That should be a tagline.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah. I always walk in, and that's the first thing I said. I love it, but the way we sell is not the the way we live.
Yeah,
so
totally.
yeah, this couch is uncomfortable, but
And
it
it's
looks
nice
good on
to
photos.
tell them too. Like
Yeah.
it's nice
Yeah.
to share their appreciation. Be like, this is beautiful, and I get where you're going, but we're gonna have to wrap this and store this properly. It's got to go.
And it's also like appealing to the general public. You know, you're not just like their style is their style, but we're trying to appeal to a bunch of different styles.
Exactly.
So it's more like an eclectic, we're not going to be like doing just like a retro vibe or like a contemporary. Like you want to have a different kind of mix so that it appeals to different types of people.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you're selling the apartment, you're not selling your art.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's usually our conversation. It's always a tough conversation
Yeah.
at first, but
Yeah, it is.
you come along and that helps.
I don't mind. Like, yeah, exactly. It's like, that's why, if you can just acknowledge and validate, like, that their style is beautiful, regardless, and, and then.
Have you received any, like, I've never really received anybody. Usually my clients are just like, whatever you think.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we're
I've
fine.
received lots
Resistance?
of
Yeah.
Oh,
Really?
yeah. We've always had
Still,
resistance.
I still find a way around it. Sometimes it just takes like more
I think it's
conversations.
MJ's clients.
It's probably well, a lot of mine tend to be a little bit more difficult for sure.
Also, the thing is now that you're probably working with, like, if you've worked with them before, there's no real reason why the next time, like, if you're going to sell their next house, it's
Yes.
like they already know what you're doing. They already
Totally.
know that you're competent. So, like,
You're talking about the clients.
Yeah,
as
the
opposed
clients
to-
that
yeah.
you're working with, like, yeah, they may know that staging sucks and moving sucks, but they know that what you're doing, there's a means to the madness. Like, you
Yeah.
have to do this.
Yeah,
Because
and lots of
you-
times they'll prep ahead time. Like I'll come in
Exactly.
and it'll kind of look like my stuff anyways. They'll be like, "Oh, I loved it so much, I just recreated it." It's like,
Yeah.
perfect.
Oh, yeah, the return clients? Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Oh,
sure.
yeah. Like,
We've
I
had
bought that
people
couch that you love.
buy stuff right from
Yeah,
you. They're like, I
totally.
like this so much, I'm going to keep it.
yeah, yeah.
But
I
I think
always say no.
the job falls on us, though, really, as realtors, to explain the value of staging and showing them like the difference, like the cost, like value. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, for the amount of money that they're going to spend up front, like,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's really not a lot of money
it's
for the
not.
return. It's like, does anybody know the stat? I did at one point. I forgot what it
it
was.
changes all the time.
It's like a huge return. Like the
But I
little
mean,
bit
it's
that you
like-
do
Mm,
spend.
definitely more than 5%.
at least exactly.
Oh my gosh.
like it's
yeah.
like tenfold basically for what you're spending.
Yes, I've
right?
heard that actually
Yeah.
Yeah.
tenfold.
Like if you're spending 4,000 or 5,000, you're going to at least make.
At least 50.
50,000.
Well,
for
what do they
sure.
say? Every $1 of renovations could be $3 in your pocket.
Right.
So staging is kind of
And that's on the low side.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really
Yeah.
low side. Yeah.
But I think people
Oh.
also don't realize what painting can do. Like
Oh,
what you've been
Everything.
able- yeah, what you can do with paint. Like
The
because we do have
basics.
people who are not in the best financial position.
We've painted tiles. We've painted floors. We've painted
my God,
showers,
tubs,
staircases.
staircases.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Fuck,
Easy.
everything.
So
Everything.
paint
Yeah.
and then light fixtures and door
Yes.
handles,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That's like
Easiest
the
things.
Oh, yeah.
exactly, right?
Or
So
even doors, even like, you know, depending, like we just did
That was
one
massive
listing.
in
We changed the
Leslieville.
doors and the hardware. What a difference. It looks
Yeah.
like a new house.
But it's so funny when you came
it
in, you're like,
dates properties.
all the doors, and we're all like, really? And I was just like, really? Because it's something like, you know,
Yeah.
it's like a little like, yeah, it's not the best, but when you did
Oh,
that
what
and
a
they
difference.
changed them all to like just the modern ones, like gorgeous. It just changed the entire look of the house.
Mhm.
Because
And
then you
what,
keep the
couple
doors
thousand?
closed, and then it looks like it's
And
just,
the price point reflected like it made
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
You know, so and you have to go by price point, of course.
Yeah.
I also find like with clients, if you don't make something a big deal, they don't really think it's a big deal. Like I just, to me, I just say it like,
Just replace
this
all
is
the
what we're
doors, no big
doing.
deal.
We're gonna do this, and they're just like, okay, like.
Yeah.
But if I'm like, I'm really sorry, but like, I
You're
just
right.
don't want you to feel like.
Yeah, it's the way you
then,
present
then
it.
Yeah,
you make
totally.
it like it's, oh, maybe I should be offended, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like it's nothing. Like I'm just doing my job. It's nothing personal.
Yeah.
But this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm here to help you. You know,
And all they can do is say no,
And
right?
that's
I mean,
like-
in the end.
it works for me.
Yeah.
I don't know, and it's not like I'm not doing it as a manipulation. It's just the way that I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or
and it
window
seems to
coverings
work.
too. And they're always
Oh yeah, window coverings are huge.
yeah. I always you can we'll put them in the closet for you because we'll.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah. All the time.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll put them back up.
But I mean, the easiest thing is like just getting rid of all those like little booby lights, is what they
Oh,
call
yeah,
them,
the
right?
booby
Just
lights.
like,
Booby
yeah,
lights.
the booby
That's
lights. Somebody
awesome.
once
We just
called
did
that to
that.
me. I was dying. I'm like, yep, that's
Yeah,
exactly
I know
what
exactly
it
The
which
nipple
light you're
lights.
talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
is. And just putting like simple
funny.
flush mounts. They're
But
so
we just
cheap.
did that
Yeah.
because we a lot of times we'll get builder. It's builder lights,
It's a
right? Like they
builder
put in the
light.
cheapest ones or
Yeah.
something that's been around for a really long time.
2 for
You're like,
50.
okay,
on Amazon. is when I
Yeah,
see
like
them.
the new
you get
ones.
some, and Costco even has good deals every once in a
And
while.
even if you just switch it, because people are so used to seeing that light fixture that it becomes so generic.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you just switch it with something that's not even more expensive, but
Exactly.
it's
It's just more
different.
modern.
Modern
Yeah,
and
more
slim.
and it may like distribute the light better because those
Yeah.
ones you think they're
That's
bright, but
huge,
they
yeah.
don't distribute the light at
No,
all.
no,
Exactly.
They just
Terrible.
get lost under the glass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing, lighting.
But yeah, so we are big proponents of staging, and we really like you. So
Thank you.
moral of the story.
Thank you very
I
much.
think everybody that's used you too, like, because I know you've gotten a lot of referrals, and so far everybody I've spoken to who've used you is very, very happy.
Thank you. Well, it's so funny, like just starting out being your stager, like 10 years ago for the
Yeah.
longest time. And then what was it? Jim. Jim
Oh,
Emelson.
Jim!
And then one time, one of our close-up
Yes.
friends, who's another realtor, was
I
like,
started
"Can I
sharing
use
her.
her?
I was like,
Can I share her?"
"Fine."
And then it just kind of blew up from there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, now it's its own business. It's its own entity.
Yeah, and it's
so.
good because it's not like all me, you know, like she can have her own stuff too. And
Yeah.
it's now I've kind of removed myself out of the equation more. So she's just kind of doing her own thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm so proud of
But
you.
it started you and
young,
me.
young grasshopper.
Yeah,
All
we
right,
should
well,
tag. We
thank
should
you.
actually tag some of the realtors.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like I know Thomas McBurney.
Yeah, yeah. I just finished one in Burlington. We
Yeah.
were just saying like where we were talking earlier how it used to just be like kind of in the downtown Toronto area. Now it's just like
Sprawled.
I get asked to go all over the place. Like, will you go to Burlington? Will you go to Bowmanville? It's like
Mhm.
sure,
Yeah.
why not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, there's a price attached
Well,
to
why
that.
not? You roll up in front of the house. You don't have to
Yeah.
deal with a concierge or
oh my
garage
gosh, it's
or
actually
anything. You just
Absolutely.
awesome.
suburbs
Yeah.
selling
That's fun, eh,
sometimes
booking
is so
elevators.
good.
Oh,
Yeah.
condo stagings are
A little bit more, yeah.
it's their own beast. Yeah.
Especially if there's other people needing to move at the same time.
Mhm.
And
That's
just
the worst.
concierge too, like
Yeah.
just the personalities. Like there's so much, power struggles and timing and stuff like that. You have to really be like,
Hey.
Hi, everything's
see,
fine.
it's a hands-on
Apologize
approach.
later.
Yeah, sorry I'm running late.
Coming
again.
through.
Amazing.
I like the hands-off approach. I appreciate all that stuff that you do because usually when we hand something off to you, we know it's going to get done, and I don't have to worry about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
appreciate
it's
that.
it's best for all of us too. Like it's good for me to be able to manage everything myself as well and not have too many hands in the pot because then I
Yeah.
know everything's going right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one question to round out this. As someone who's getting into your industry, what would be your big token of advice for them? What would be one thing that if you wish you knew that you know now?
Don't work with realtors. Just
Oh
kidding.
my
Just
gosh.
kidding.
Yeah, that's tough. I can imagine it's really tough to get into the industry right now. I don't know. Like definitely get your processes together. I think I'm doing things a little bit backwards because I've been doing it for so long and finding. So I think like taking the time to set yourself up like properly, knowing your expenses, having a good accountant, having a good bookkeeper, like all that stuff. Like I'm just doing this, 8-10 years later.
Yeah.
And I wish I had known now what I did back then.
Yeah.
It's
And
no-
then
I'm
then
sorry.
having a network too, right? Like I've just joined a group of stagers online.
I love that.
Rebecca Hayes has put it together, and it's everybody kind of like asks questions and supports each other and accountability partners and stuff like that. And it's important because like up until like maybe a year or two ago, like stagers didn't talk to each other. It was like everybody's just like keeping it to themselves, and it's like there's no need,
You
right?
sound just like realtors.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
exactly the
so
same
crazy.
thing.
It's
Maybe
like
going
there's
through the
there's
pit of the
plenty for
market.
everybody, right?
Probably going through a low market, you guys all thought like, let's band together. What are you
Totally.
up to? What are you doing? How are you getting through this?
I started staging
it's
with an-
abundance mentality versus
Exactly.
lack mentality.
Exactly.
In any industry is always the best. Like that's what we're always striving towards because lack attracts lack and abundance attracts abundance. It's like sounds simple, but it's not that easy to do.
No.
It's just like shifting the way that you think about things in your perspective.
And
There
keeping
is-
consistency.
Yeah, there's
Like you can
enough
have
for
that
everybody.
mentality and then you can sort of slip back into your patterns and then you
Yeah.
have to remind yourself, oh, wait a second, let me try and
Totally.
get back on track.
But you have to have that mentality at all times. Like when you're in the sowest period is when you have to
Yeah.
think the
Build.
most abundantly, right?
Yes.
And then it comes through.
Yeah. And
But
there's
that's your
always ways to pivot.
accountability partners,
Yeah.
right? That's important.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, good question.
Well, thanks, April.
Thanks,
so
guys.
much.
And I
you for joining
appreciate
us.
you all. I love working with you guys. So
Oh, we like you too.
We have
I
fun.
think
For
we'd be in
now.
big trouble if you
for
weren't around.
always.
And where can people?
Did you just snort? That was amazing. That was so good.
That's a
Wait
good
till
one.
the listing I have coming.
Where can people find you?
Instagram is probably the thing that I keep most up to date. So Detail Staging, all one word, DETAILSTI. Oh God, STAGING. I've got like a web page as well. It's not as up to date, but Detail.
I think we have you on our webpage with some before and afters as well at
Yes.
metarealty.ca. So
Yeah.
if people want to check out some of the stuff that April has done,
Yes.
you can find it there.
Yeah, absolutely.
My fun before and afters.
Hey, you know what? It's crazy when people
They're
see them; they
crazy.
can't believe it's the same place.
Yeah.
It's so satisfying.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love before and afters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta do more.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our podcast. And thanks so much. See you next week. Bye for now.